Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video we're going through the trade targets for round 9 of the AFLW fantasy season. We are slowly closing in on the end of the season, and so I guess at this point now, I mean, a lot of us have most of the top of the line players in our science, and it will be about, I guess, maximizing the remaining players left. I know that there's a lot of discussion this week about McLaughlin and what to do. I think she is a trade out, to be honest with you. I don't know what the heck they were thinking. Reece Shaw deserves sacking almost off that one decision, but I think she needs to go because she's going to be just bleeding so many points. She's basically bled somewhere close to about 120 points, 60 points per week in the last couple of weeks, just with her positioning and all that. So I think she can be moved on. And so let's just jump into it now. So if we go off the defenders, obviously a lot of us have most of the top defenders. I thought I had quite a few of them until Chaplin decided in the last couple of weeks she's going to go mad, and she's just been the defender that's Tilly Lucas-Rod. The defender that I have missed in this whole season, as you can see here, she's gone 66, 120, 111 the last 3 weeks. She's been magnificent and really a game changer for those, and one that I just frankly missed. I didn't expect the McLaughlin role change to happen, so I guess that's just a thing that hindsight will tell us now. You should have been able to predict that. You should have gone her to Chaplin, etc., because it was right there and free, but it is what it is. But yeah, Chaplin has just been amazing, and probably one that a lot of us are going to have to give a miss just because of where she's sitting in terms of her, I guess, price point, but we'll have to see about that. So yeah, Chaplin, Gay, etc. there, who I would be grabbing up. And I do like Maddie Gay in her role that she was in. I thought she could have easily scored a lot more, so I don't actually mind her at the 1.019 million. I know that Chaplin's been scoring freakishly in the last couple, but then again, I'm still like, she might just have a poor game and then drop some a little bit, so I might be able to pick her up later or something dumb like that. And then obviously you got McCormack. If we do look at the last 3, Chaplin is a runaway. Govan's actually done really, really well the last couple of weeks after that 115. She's gone 61 and 51 and gained quite a lot of cash. So whoever went there has done really well. And then O'Driscoll's had an all right couple of weeks alongside Richardson with that big 100 game. So you're really just looking for that defender that can score that big 100 game. Geelong seems to be one that, or one team that's conceded quite a bit. Obviously, Goodwin's a midfielder. If we look at Geelong here, they've conceded a ton again there. Let's look. I'm pretty sure you'll find that their fixture difficulty for defenders is actually relatively easy. If we go here, you can see Geelong are a 0.07, so it's actually Richmond that concede the most. And Fremantle, if we go to Fremantle, have Melbourne. Oh, Chaplin's going to go 120. And then you've got also the likes of Richmond who have, where are Richmond? Richmond have the likes of North and Melbourne. So Emma Carney actually could be a really good option. She's one that I've even looked at 674k. I know people are like, oh, she's done really poorly, but I still think she could recover some of this form that she had earlier on in the year and do all right at 674k. If we do look at Emma Carney here, I think she's one of the ones in the lower bracket that could come home really well. And she does have a 65 break even, so it's not like she's going to make outlandish amounts of cash. But I think at 670k, she's one that I'm actually really considering if I can go something dumb like this, which a lot of people, which is probably not going to work. But let's just show you something that I've even considered going like a Chaplin here. If we just do this, Chaplin here, then we go Carney, and I think it might just work. It does just work, I believe, by about 20k. So for me, something like this could actually work. I don't think there's any actual ruck that's playing that could give me some points. I know Window would fail because Window's probably not going to play, but yeah, something of that regard. And then going like Hardingham could actually be the spot. I don't think there'll be any rucks in this 300k range that I can actually afford that actually play round on round. You got Murphy at 300k again. Basenko tipping did a horrific job, and then you had Hardingham. So I might go something like Hose or something of that regard there. and do something like that. That could be something that I do, but I do actually really like the likes of Carney in that for that D5 play. Just because we've seen her do it before. She was on fire early on in the year, and I think she could easily regain that as she's gone through Brisbane, Carlton, Essendon, and Sydney. If we look at defender matchups, Brisbane, Carlton are minus, Sydney and Essendon, she's gone through massive negative matchups. And if we look at the run home for defenders for total, you can see that North Melbourne are a 1.7. They've got 2 ultra matchups in Richmond and Adelaide, who are 2 of the top 3. And then you've got St Kilda and Hawthorn as well there. St Kilda is rather negative at minus 4.7. I don't know who has played St Kilda recently, but Chaplin went 51 against them. They played GWS, Port Adelaide, Richmond, no. Essendon, no. Hawthorn, how did Tilly Lucas Rowe go against them? She went 83 against them. So maybe it isn't the best match, obviously the best matchup there, but they could still score reasonably well there, I have a feeling. So that's sort of the defenders, I guess, knocked off there. Carney outside of the big defenders is where I'd be going, in all honesty, because I think she's just too cheap for her price point. And I think Chaplin is also a really good option to go there. So I've got the top 4 in the last 3, plus also Carney, who was well down here at 53 in her last 3, but she did have that weird Essendon 30, whereas I think she can easily get back to it and score pretty well, and you might as well go for someone like a Carney. The midfielders, I think I can say this pretty confidently. Again, it'll be the main 5. Row bottom, if we just look at the round points here, obviously Conti's probably one that could break away, except for the fact that she has she's North Melbourne, which sucks. Like, if we just look at it, Conti's run, she's got a really bad run against North Melbourne, and then it starts to free up later on. But we look at it, Fremantle have a good run, Bowers is going to score well. Collingwood have a really poor run at the start against St Kilda, but then have a couple of good, juicy matchups there. North Melbourne for both Riddell and Garner, really good runs there as well. Geelong, Chris Barkers has a decent run here, but then a couple of bad matchups, so there's that. Carlton, there's no one there really to look at. Hawthorn, there's no midfielder there, even though they've got the juicy matchup. Port Adelaide, no midfielder there, even though they've got a good run in the last couple games. Adelaide is one that you actually have to consider for Ella Roberts, just because they've conceded to the major ball winner, both Laura Gardner and Monconti, and someone else, I want to say Charlie Rowbottom, 140 each week at least. In the last 3, it's been a 147, a 173, and a 156, I want to say. Let me just double check that with Rowbottom here. Rowbottom, she went 147. We know Gardner went 143, and Conti, as we said, went 156. So yeah, those are the big ones to really concern about, is the Adelaide leaking, but I wonder if they'll fix that up. Adelaide leaks, so does Hawthorn, and I just don't think, so does Gold Coast, so I just don't think that there's anyone that really can take advantage of it, other than the likes of an Ella Roberts. In this game here, you'll see Adelaide, Ella Roberts, you've got Garner and Riddell that will take advantage of it. Then you've got Port Adelaide, it'll be not really anyone particularly. And then you've got Fremantle, that'll be maybe Harper Bowers out, but it could actually be a Newton or someone else that does really well that last week. But you might want to be actually jumping on the likes of a Monconti against Gold Coast last week. That could be a differential play against maybe a Garner or something of that regard. There, Sydney have Essendon the last week. We'll see how that goes with Gardner. But you can see how the differentials apply there. And Adelaide have Fremantle, which is a net neutral. So we'll see how it goes. But the midfield, it's the main 5. I don't really see anyone having a juicy matchup that I like. Kate Hawes getting into a tough part of the schedule with Fremantle, Sydney, Brisbane, Geelong. Any other? Nance Gordon's got a difficult run there. And if we just look at the next sort of averaging players, Nance Gordon, Conti has a difficult matchup this week. Ella Roberts is a decent one. And then you've already gotten 10 points below Garner, who Garner had that injury game, which we can kind of disregard. And we push it up to sort of that. If we take out the injury game, it's 51. That'll be 7-2-3 in 7 games or 6 games. 7-2-3 in 6 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 7, 2, 3, and 6 games. That's a 120 odd average. That's already above Bowers there. So disregard that. You're already getting a gap of 20 points. I don't think there's a matchup worth 20 points, to be honest with you, other than this weird Adelaide matchup. And then the Gold Coast matchup is the one that I'd be looking at too, if there is a midfielder on those matchups. So Ella Roberts this week could be a differential play. And then Monconti, I think, in the last round are the only differential plays I see. Going to the ruck, we go to it. West Coast, Gold Coast, Carlton, St Kilda, Essendon, Port Adelaide at a 0.8 for the rest of the year. They do have a tough matchup in Brisbane. But if we do look, where is the good old Fremantle? They're a minus 4.2. They have the Melbourne matchup, which is actually a really poor matchup somehow. I just don't see a world in which you're really changing to the likes of a Strom anymore. Hawthorn have Gold Coast, which is a positive matchup, and then a couple of poor matchups as well. So at this point now, you might as well just keep Shoals for the whole year. There's not much value gained in trading, I don't think, at the moment. Yes, you can obviously go to the likes of Wales, who's on fire the last couple of weeks. If we look at it, Fremantle, she went 123 against... I mean, she's just on fire, absolutely on fire. And yeah, she is going to be the number 1 ruck this year. And it is 10 points at the moment. Is there much value in trading out? I think they're actually saying that there is value. The problem is it's 200k to trade up, and I know a lot of people are struggling to find the cash to trade up. So I just cannot see a world in which I do it personally, because a lot of my trades involve sort of trying to hope that I can get 200k here, 200k there. So there isn't really a world in which I have enough value to trade Shoals up to Wales. But there could be a set of trades that I do that might work out. And it may involve holding like a McCormack for another week. But yeah, there is a set of trades that I'm thinking of that might just get over the top of it. But then again, I'm also thinking, and it doesn't actually work, I don't think, by about 100k, because I have a downgrade in there which I haven't factored in. So even that, it's really a struggle to get Shoals up to Wales unless that's your one sole focus. But a lot of us have a Window, a McLaughlin, or a McCormack to fix up. Whereas there will be some people that can obviously do the Shoals to Wales, but I think that there are bigger issues there, to be honest with you, with the role loss of McLaughlin and Window not playing. And then we get to the forward line. This is a lot more interesting. I actually really do like the sort of Malloy play. She's gotten through the tough matchup. I know that she scored 48 last week, etc. She's probably going to lose a little bit more cash. And she does have Carlton, which Carlton for forwards, if we look here at the forward run for Sydney, Carlton is a slight negative. So you could look at her maybe in a week's time against Melbourne as an upgrade to Window. If Window doesn't play, then we're going to have to change up our sort of our trades just a fraction bit. But if Window does play, then these trades could actually be the way to go. But if Window doesn't, then it probably is a Carney and holding a Dunlop week, or potentially holding a McCormack week and getting the likes of Window up to the likes of Malloy. I probably should actually Port Adelaide. Let's just see here what's their injury list looking like, because I actually haven't Window to be assessed. Yeah, she's a test. So watch her be out. Yeah, discomfort at training. Would have loved to have heard that earlier, but that's what I thought it was. I was hoping that it didn't say Window 2 to 3 weeks. But yeah, that'll be a little bit annoying because she's probably going to drop an all-time stinker, but we can upgrade her next week. But anyway, now back onto the forwards. You can see, as I've been saying this whole time, the forward line, Hodder's gone absolutely mental the last couple of weeks, and now she's huge, and she would have been a big pickup if I go in that area there last week. She was the forward to go for. Obviously, Richards' season over. Craven had a decent week with an 83, and Harris an 89, and Parry the 75. But if we look at the round points, you can see very much Hodder was the differential pick. Too Good actually had a really good round as well. And then could obviously go to a Woodland, who went an 86 as well. So quite a lot of decent scores. I probably should have just held ground with my forwards. because obviously you would have seen that Maloney went a 73, which is perfectly fine. Should have just upgraded my defenders because I didn't think I should have probably just moved on McLaughlin first. But anyway, that is in the past, and yeah, can't be changed. I don't think, unless I have some type of time machine. But yeah, Hodder, a 112. She was amazing. Kicked the 4 goals too. Had the 8 tackles as well. We know she's a big tackler when she gets it going. So she's been amazing in the last 3 weeks and a massive differential. If we are to look at the forwards, it is the Western Bulldogs forwards that have a really good run coming up with 2 blue matchups, and Hawthorn with a couple of blue matchups in there with a light blue as well. So they're the positive matchups, I would say, this week. And I would say that McDonough's probably the forward that you could potentially look at. She had a really good run to end the to end the week. She had something like 40 points in the second half. So she could obviously do really well if we do look at the Fremantle are a rather bluish team. So you could run with her for 3 or so weeks. If we do look at the bad matchups, St Kilda, Gold Coast, North Melbourne, Fremantle, Port Adelaide, Geelong, Essendon and Adelaide all have rather negative matchups in there in the next little bit. And Sydney actually do have a positive matchup, but it's mostly based on the Essendon matchup. If we look at the fixture difficulty, you'll see that Gold Coast are the matchup to hunt for, and Hawthorn do have it. So you could go down the McDonough route. We've seen forwards really struggle against the Gold Coast Suns for some dumb reason. I don't know exactly why, because it does have a positive matchup there. Then you've got Essendon with a positive matchup. Sydney are the positive matchup as well there for forwards. So Sydney do have the likes of Carlton this week. So Bohanna, maybe? No, don't think really there. But yeah, so if we are looking at differential forwards, to be honest with you here, McDonald, I don't want that. I want the forwards. Obviously, I think Hodder's going to do well regardless almost of the matchup. I think she's going to be near enough top of the line now. Anyway, if we look at it, she's sped straight into the top 5. I do still think that Malloy's a really good matchup. I know a really good play there. I know that she started the season on fire and hasn't really been able to return any returns recently, but I think that she'll be able to do it. Maybe not against Carlton exactly, so might be a play in future weeks as they have Melbourne, and definitely in the West Coast Essendon matchup is where I'd be looking at her massively there. But I still think that she'll be able to return some, probably 75 a game in the last 4 weeks of the year, which will be good enough for probably a top 8 from here on out. There will be 3, 4, 5 that go outside of the Ham and Goldsworthy that go like the 80. It's just finding them. You could potentially go like a Wardlaw. I can finally get rid of that tab actually there about window. But she does have a couple of tough matchups there, but she has done really, really well recently. Did drop a 42 against GWS, which just shows how rough it is. You could do the direct swap to Zanka. She does have a rather juiced run coming up. I actually think that she could be one that does really well. She has had that one poor game there, that 32. But she could be a good differential or a good straight swap from the likes of a window. Let me just see if I can maneuver around. I don't think I'll be able to, but I could maybe get Chaplin to the likes of a Gay, and then move, because Gay is around. That would get me, I think, close to the margin that I need. It would get me about 100 it would be within reason, I think, it get me very, very close, I think, to the margin that I need. But it also could just be a straight swap for Zanka to the likes of a window and then move on from there. But yeah, that's a move that you could go down. But yeah, I do actually really rate the Hodder pickup at the moment. She's just been on fire, and she'll be breaking, I think, top 3 for the rest of the year. Woodland's done really well, so you can trade back into her if you don't have her. And Malloy, I think, is a week or 2 away. Don't really rate the Parry pickup. Maloney, neither. Don't really like that. Harris is going to be so on and off, it's going to be hard to watch. But she's done really well the last 3. And then I don't think there's many differential picks. Tiny Evans has finally slowed down. She's now averaging 63 for the year, and Gilroy is now on the year averaging, what, about 60 or so, 59.7. Kaufman was one that I was surprised hasn't really picked up any points recently. Had a 78 against Hawthorn. I thought she'd be in a better role, to be honest with you. McLaughlin's injured. Stone has a really good role. She just now at the moment, so you could actually go a differential there and go Stone. And if the window doesn't pull up, that could be the avenue that I go down. A Stone there, and that would be awfully close for me to actually getting what I need. It'd be around about 20k short, so I wouldn't be able to get Chaplin. I'd have to get a Gay or someone of that regard there. But yeah, that's the way I could go to Stone or something of that regard, because Stone is probably going to make cash rather quickly. If we just look at Stone here, she's got a 46 break even, so you'd expect her to make a pretty penny pretty quickly here. But anyway, I think that's rather that for the trade targets. Going through all of the options, obviously role changes are going to happen to some players. You're going to see injuries happen, but there's a core, I would say, a basis, 5 midfielders, about 3 or 4 defenders, 2 or 3 forwards, and then a ruck sort of up for debate. I would say that there's probably Wales is the dominant one. So what's that? 5, 6. There's probably a dominant 11 or 12 that you've got to have in your team out of the 16. So then that makes up for debate a good sort of 2 or 3, 2 probably defenders, and then a 2 also forwards that I think are up for debate. But anyway, that is the video. If you guys did enjoy it, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and I will see you guys later for my team reveal for round 9. Bye guys.